I'm curious, how many of you have friends or peers that have similar hobbies as you, such as golf or basketball? How many of you have that? Okay. How many of you have good support systems that support you to make any of your dreams come true? How many of you have that? Okay. Today I'd like to share something with you that isn't a new idea, but many deaf people do not have access to what we have here. In 2005, I had already gotten my master's degree. I had a good job. I had great friends. I had my family as support, but I still felt like I was missing something. One day, I got an email for a volunteering opportunity in Cambodia. I asked myself, should I go ahead with this? And then I thought, why not? And I went ahead with it. During that program, there were two groups. There were the Americans and the Cambodians, and they worked together for social change. From the beginning to the end of that program, I saw that collectivity and that connection. It was truly inspiring. I thought, yes, that connection, I want more of that. So once that program was done, I went back home. Many deaf communities across the world have very limited resources, limited education, limited socialization. That concept is something that I experienced in Cambodia. When those two groups came together, they created peer-to-peer. So there are two kinds of peer-to-peer. You can work with someone that you really connect with and who has same or similar experiences than you, or it's two people that work together because they understand each other. That peer-to-peer holds a lot of power. For example, today we're all here in order to share ideas and learn new ideas. That in and of itself is an example of peer-to-peer learning. I had a group of friends that came back from Cambodia, and for 3 months I was just thinking back of that passion and that motivation for social change. And that's when I realized that deaf communities all around the world need that. A group of friends and I discussed ideas, and we were asking each other if we could see that happen and if that idea could become a reality. Before I go deep into that, I want to share a story about numbers, or I want to share numbers. 278 million people around the world have some kind of hearing loss. And many of them, 2/3 of them, live in developing countries because they have limited education, limited resources, and limited socialization. Could peer-to-peer learning be the answer to that and solve that problem? I'd like to share a story. There was a group of Thai people and a group of Americans, and they came together to have a simple discussion about dreams. When they grow up, what did they want to become? And one person was asked, and they said, I wanted to be a cook. The other said, I want to be a parent. And the other said, well, I'd like to work in computers, but I can't because I'm deaf. And that discussion, that debate, and that conversation went on, and it felt very enlightening. And peer-to-peer learning can be very beneficial. One thing that many developing countries lack is a safe and fun chat. A lot of communities seem to be afraid to chat. It's very common that one American will fly to a country, support, help, fly back. Then a different person would fly in, do the same, and then fly back to America. There are many various experiences, but did they really feel that their experience was beneficial to them once they got home? Why don't we have a group of youth that fly to this developing country, have a similar group of deaf youth that they meet with? They have a similar level of understanding. There could be definitely that challenge of language barriers, but anything is possible. If they can come together and have discussions, everyone benefits from that. And it can help develop knowledge, they can gain information, and they can really develop themselves as people. Furthermore, they can all become leaders. They already have their support. They've set up that communication, and they can better their language skills. They also gain a lot of cultural awareness. And they get to gain this real world view. And all of that is learned through peer-to-peer learning. When they fly back, that youth group, they continue to learn. They'll continue to have discussions and socialize through social media. And the teachers that were there, they've developed relationships with them and have created sustainability in those experiences and relationships. There's one Indian boy that lived in a small community, and he had very limited access to the deaf world, very limited access to learning communication skills and information in general. I had asked him if he wanted to join a youth group, and he said, why not? And I was there, and at the beginning he was very shy, only answering questions with yes, no, or I don't want. And I was seeing the possibility of him becoming a leader. And through the whole experience, he was able to learn more information from other deaf people and was gaining more confidence and feeling more brave with time. When the question was asked of what he wanted to do in the future and all of that, everything just started to fall into place. And towards the end of the program, he had completely changed. I don't know if you all have heard about the concept of breakdancing, but through this concept, he had learned the art of breakdancing and had lost his fear, had completely broken out of his shell, and was ready to make all of his goals realities. Now, he teaches computers and how to work with computers to other deaf people, as you can see on the picture here. He has developed that program and has made all that come true because he already had that support system set up. Peer-to-peer learning definitely has pros and cons. One challenge is that in America, men and women are equal, or seen as equal, but in other developing countries, this is rarely the case. It's important to have that cultural respect already set up, and that can be an example of a challenge with peer-to-peer learning. I'd like to share another story. Since 2007, there were global outreach programs that were started, and a lot of peer-to-peer programs were started to be created and developed for deaf communities and deaf individuals so that they can learn skills to go through their life and so that there are less cultural conflicts. There are 9 different programs, 5 different countries, and there are 3,000 visitors. There are 156 individuals that have joined this program, and all of them have their own individual experiences that they bring to the table. For example, my friend who now teaches about computers. The question is that I ask myself a lot is how to create sustainability with that. How to create sustainability with inspiration And a lot of organizations definitely struggle with that, as well as support, financial support. They don't have enough volunteers or enough funds to pay their volunteers. And it's been a challenge definitely to match groups with different developing countries. 3 months ago, I went to Guatemala. I flew there and I had met people that had never seen another deaf person before. And when they joined that group and through that program of 1 week, when it came to that last day, the parents came to see what their children had done, and they gathered around with teachers and other deaf organizations. And the Guatemalan youth stood up and shared their experiences in their language, in sign language, of what they have learned. And you could see their confidence, and in all of their actions, the parents were just shocked. They were so surprised. They were so emotional and happy. And a lot of parents came up to me and said, thank you. We didn't think there was any hope for the deaf people in these communities. We didn't know that, they could go to university and had these capacities, and send chills down my spine. And since then, people keep telling me, come back, we want to do this again, please come back. And it's really proof of that inspiration is continuous and that will never die. It's not only for youth, it can be for various other groups. When we talked about computers, it could be for youth or for adults as well. The impact of peer-to-peer learning is what's the most powerful. Recently, now we've made it a goal to set up this program in as many developing countries as possible. And we want to make this program and this inspiration contagious. TSD, the Texas School for the Deaf, they always look forward to doing it every year. And we've been doing it for a long time, and their experiences are absolutely unforgettable. It's important to keep this going in developing countries so they can have better experiences as well. Thank you so much.